Well, hey there, sweet peas. Welcome back to Friendless. I'm your host, James Avramenko, and this is the show about how to be a better friend from a guy who has no idea how to be a friend. We're going to be doing a June wrap-up review episode this week. I originally had a script written, I had it recorded, and then everything just kind of went off the deep end for me, and I decided to throw it out, and instead I'm just turning on the microphone, and I'm going to talk for a little bit, and we're going to see what comes up. So buckle up, babies. Let's see what I got cooking. We're going to find out together. Things are actually going really well. If I don't worry, right out of the gate, this is not one of those like I'm going to just morosely, Eeyore talk for the next hour or something like that. It was more that I had originally planned this idea that I wanted to I do eventually want to return to, but it just didn't feel in line with kind of what I wanted to be talking about this week. Everything in the news feels heavy and scary, and I'm trying to, I think, find a balance between acknowledging it and working through it and sort of clarify my own perspective on things, while also not adding to the sort of dog pile of uninformed, half-baked opinions on things. I am aware of events in the world, but I am far more interested in listening to people who actually know what they're talking about say things about those events. I'm trying to navigate like not just pretending like nothing's happening, while also not trying to just sort of like talk just to talk. Ironic, I know. Given the context of where I am right now, recording live from my bed because everything is so hot in my apartment, and the only place I can survive is half naked under a single thin layer with not fans running right now because that would interfere with the audio, but otherwise just sitting in front of my air conditioning and trying not to melt. But the idea that I had been cooking and I'm really excited about, and I'm going to share a little bit about, and then present the final product in the near future. It started out a couple years ago. I think I have talked about NaNoWriMo before on the show. I'm sure it's come up at some point or another. For context, NaNoWriMo is a horrible acronym. Is it an acronym? Is that what it is? I always forget what an acronym is. But it's an abbreviation for National Novel Writing Month. Every November since God knows when, probably the 90s, but there is a writer's challenge to try and write a 50,000 word novel in 1 month. So every year, writers around the world make themselves go absolutely nuts for the month of November. I've participated in one capacity or another for better part of a decade. And a couple years ago, my experiment for that month was to write a new essay every day under the topic of sort of themes of Friendless. So they were things like, some of the titles were, nobody cares if you don't come to the party, or like how to be a bad friend, or these kinds of things. One of the essays that on kind of review of the manuscript was about first friends and the sort of idea of like, how do we get sort of sidled with our first friends? Because it's not like you have any autonomy. It's not like you really have any say in it, and yet those first connections are so impactful and so formative for us. So yeah, I had written it as an essay. I was rereading the manuscript the other day, and I was thinking, oh, these would actually make really fun monologues on the show, and yada yada yada. But yeah. So I'm gonna be returning to it soon. But for now, I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of an update where I'm at, and what I got cooking, and just kind of take a few minutes to kind of reflect on the month, because June's been weird, and I can't help feeling like I say that every month. I'm always like, man, that was a weird month. But I think 2025 in general has just been a weird year. And so I think it's a very evocative word for how I've been feeling, um, especially when I sort of sit down and actually look back and think about everything that I did. I've been admittedly pretty sleepwalker esque this month. I have really dove into focusing on my day job, and it's been eating up a lot of my brain power. There's not a ton of capacity left over once I clock out, um, and so I have felt like I've been kind of lagging in other areas of my life. My avoidant tendencies from my disorganized attachment style, the avoidant elements have been coming out to play a lot more recently, and I've been coming up with a lot more excuses as why not to see people, which has not been great because when I get into those modes, the best way to get out of them is to see people. But of course, the gremlin in my mind is like, they hate you. They don't want to see you. So I come up with reasons why it's better for me to just curl up and watch, um, you know, God, what did I watch this month? I don't even know. I'm mostly just disassociated to the wall with movies playing in the background. But let me check my letterbox real quick. This is, I'm sure, fascinating podcasting to listen to. I watched Spartan for the first time since high school. I I'd listened to a different podcast doing a Hall of Fame breakdown of Val Kilmer's career, and they offhandedly talked about Spartan, and I was like, oh, I remember liking that movie. And boy, oh boy, is Spartan an example of the kind of movie that is best remembered and not rewatched. Um, um, I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Mid to late career Val Kilmer, directed by already off the deep end David Mamet. Probably not a recipe for high quality. Yeah, that ate up a couple hours of my life. I tried to watch Collateral again. I've been doing this thing recently where, um, if I don't have to, I cannot watch a movie in one sitting. My attention span is just utterly fried. I'm incapable of sitting and focusing on a movie in one go, unless I'm like at a movie theater. I went to see the latest Final Destination a couple weeks ago, and obviously, because social conditioning trains you to sit quietly and watch the movie at the movie theater. I was able to do it there, but at home, I put a movie on, and it's like I watch it almost like a mini series. I watch these like 20-minute bursts of the movie, and it takes me a week to get through it. So I don't know if Collateral is actually a good. Again, it's one of those movies that I watched. I saw it in high school, thought it was great then. Going back, it felt like a very jarring miniseries based on the way I watched it. Is this a thing? Am I fundamentally broken, or am I just an example of the fundamental brokenness of our culture in the way that I am incapable of engaging with art that I guess an artistic expression that has meant so much to me through the vast majority of my life. Movies are such a formative part of who I am. They were catalysts for uh, me wanting to become an artist, and yet now I have so much trouble engaging with them and focusing on them, and I think often about how like modern movies aren't worse than older movies. It's just that I'm incapable of paying attention the way I used to. Before I had a smartphone, all I had to do was sit down and watch. What was a movie I really liked? I really thought From Hell was a good movie. It's not, but in like the 10th grade, whew, that was I was all about it. Um, um, but it's like it's all I had to do was just like I guess I'm gonna watch Underworld again because what else is there? There was the family internet, and my mom was on the phone, so that wasn't an option anymore. And so what are you gonna do? You're gonna watch a movie, and I just don't have that anymore. I don't know if this is a good or a bad thing. Is this have we lost something? Are we just engaging with media on a different level? I don't know anymore. I just know that it is leaving me with this like malaise and this kind of edgy, um what's the word? Like I feel restless and I feel unsatisfied with everything. Um I think coupled with the fact that so much of my brain power is going towards my day job, which I'm grateful to have. I'm grateful that my bills are paid. I'm grateful that I can eat every day. I'm grateful that I can pay my rent on time every month. And yet I also feel such a deep dissatisfaction with, it's such a clear representation of what most jobs represent, which is just this sort of like treadmill of uh mediocrity. It takes us nowhere. No matter how fast we run, no matter how hard we push, the carrot is always out of reach, and we get nowhere. And so it's like I work diligently every day. I accomplish all my tasks. I check off my to-do list, and yet I still, at the end of the day, feel like I've done nothing. I've accomplished nothing. I've progressed nothing. No, nothing is going anywhere. And it's that malaise of having no control of the direction of my personal life. And so yeah, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do about that, but I really do feel like something's got to give at some point. Because yeah, it's like I am living in a goldfish bowl or something, and I just I keep on doing laps of the bowl and being like, huh, nothing's changed. I'm more tired, but what do I have to show for it? I paid rent again. Big fucking deal, right? Um, I don't know. Am I depressed? Probably. Who knows? Does it matter? Who knows? June though. June is a weird month. Traditionally for me, the May through July window of the year has come to represent a lot of pretty tough things in my sort of nostalgia windows. Different events happening over the last, especially I'd say last 5-6 years. May through July has been historically a pretty rough window, and so every year I feel my like shoulders rising every time the clock, the calendar starts turning over to this kind of window of time. So I do find myself tenser. I find myself expecting the other shoe to drop, and I keep on trying to remember something that Scott has shared with me in the past, where he said, life doesn't have to be a series of waiting for the next bad thing to happen, which is a really lovely, eloquent thing to say, and a fabulous reminder, and also something that is so much easier said than done. And so it is that difficult process of embodying that, right? And something that I find myself really getting hard on myself about is just these feelings of with the conditions that I work with the intersections of this fucking ransom note worth of letters of BPD and ADHD and ASD and yada yada, is just the extremities of emotions, and how one day I can be like on top of the world, and then within a couple hours I'm borderline suicidal, and just the trampoline of emotions that I go through, and the waves, really really difficult to work with sometimes. And it's felt like June has really been a month of the springs are worn out. There's some holes. I don't know if any of you have seen the new Final Destination, but there is a scene where there's somebody jumping on a trampoline with a big rake underneath, and there's a lot of tension around that. And that's that emotion, that image, I should say, has really evoked the feelings of June. I went to this. I was sent to this big tech convention that was being hosted in Vancouver, Web Summit or Collision, or maybe it was both of them. I don't know. There's like 6 different names to this one convention, and it was such a bizarre experience because on one hand, I got to see Dr. Cornell West speak live. I got to say hello to him. I literally he was coming out of room, and I was like, "Oh my God, Dr. West, I love your work. Thank you so much for everything you do." And he was like, all right," but obviously, like, couldn't have given less of a fuck about me, which is completely valid, and also was being like, valeted by security to his next destination. But I got to listen to him speak, got to listen to him kind of talk philosophically about technology, and that was really eye opening and really impactful. And at the same time, too, he was following the CEO of Bell, completely talking out of his ass about a big load of horseshit about the benefits of Bell being able to privately own infrastructure. So it was a really bizarre experience because the dichotomy of people getting together and the sort of the excitement and the energy that comes from multiple bodies in one place interacting and sharing stories, and it was international, so I was meeting people from all over the world and chatting with them and learning about them, and but having the sort of central connective theme to be around technology, which of course, it being the year of our Lord 2025, means every conversation was centered around the impacts of Gen AI and how we can make AI do this and do that and the other thing. And it's just so disappointing. It's so disappointing to see these spaces that, in my estimation and in my experience, have been traditionally places for imagination and experimentation and discovery and trying new things and pushing boundaries in exciting new ways. To see everybody just default to like, oh yeah, get ChatGPT to prompt that for you, or hey, here's this new way to make Mid-Journey generate these horrible images for you, and who needs a painter when we have and so it's really disheartening to see that in play, and to see some of the speakers really push for that. And I think that has put me in a bit of a funk, to be honest, because I have to teach about this stuff, and a piece of my work is helping young people find jobs in the tech industry, and to recognize what a massive influence AI is having on the job market, not only just for jobs, but the things that students are having to learn, seeing how there's these waves of students coming out of university who have been trained not to use AI. All their teachers have been punishing them and scolding them and shaming them from using AI, only for them to enter a workforce that is only interested in their skills and ability to use AI. And so they've been just set up to fail, and I don't know which direction to guide them towards, because something I fall back on and think about a lot is this idea within DBT, is this concept of radical acceptance. Is when you reject reality and you say, well, it shouldn't be like this way. Why did this have to happen? Why couldn't it be this way, or whatever? You're perpetuating your suffering. Whereas if you look at something and you say, this is what it is, to accept something is not to validate it. It's not to say this is how it is and that's okay. It's simply to say this is how it is. The only way you can change something is by first accepting what it currently is, right? And so, looking at the job market or the tech industry or anything like that, it's really disheartening and it's really disappointing, but it is what it is. That is the current state of affairs. And so what I'm trying to, kind of impart to my students is this idea that, like, from my perspective, it sucks. It sucks that this is the way things are. It is not beneficial for creativity. It's not beneficial for the environment. The massive impacts that even basic AI queries cause. The water waste, the energy waste. These are not good things, and we know these are not good things. And yet, the masters are demanding we use it more because they're all super excited about it. They can't wait. They're tickled pink by putting their headshot into Midjourney and having it be pixelated, or now it looks like they're Van Gogh or whatever fucking bullshit. Now they're a Roblox or a Minecraft or whatever it is. They're just tickled pink by this stuff. So the masters deem it so, and the servants have to enact it, and so it is this really horrific reality that we live in a capitalist landscape that does not endorse or encourage humanity or the celebration of humanity. And at the same time, too, we have to eat. We have to pay rent. We have to survive. And the ways you do that in a capitalist system is you make money. And I fucking hate it, but those are the rules of the game, right? Because my other choice is die. And there are days where I'm like, well, I mean, maybe, but my pragmatic brain kicks in, and I realize, no, I still got a lot to live for. Um, you know, uh, my fucking pro wrestling poems are still unpublished, so can't fucking I can't go until those are on the shelf somewhere, right? But because of that, you have to, it's the really shitty, bitter pill of it sucks, and you still got to do it because you got to survive. And so I keep on trying to impart to my students that it's like, hold on to your humanity any way you can, but play the game in order to survive. And I even saying that out loud, I'm like, I don't like that. I fucking hate that. And I don't know what to do about it. And I'm trying so hard to chip away in whatever way I can to these systems. But I'm just one person, and there's no such thing as a great man of history. There's no such thing as a great person of history. No individual has ever changed the world. It's always been collectives. Even when you look at a singular person, even if you were to say something like, Sirhan or fucking Lee Harvey Oswald, these were individuals. And it's like, no, these were individuals at the tip of a wave of actions. I'm not trying to say Lee Harvey Oswald was, there was some deeper, broader conspiracy. I'm saying that it's like, he didn't manufacture the gun. He also wasn't, responsible for the parade. He also wasn't responsible for, sowing discontent in communist versus capitalist political opposition. Like it wasn't like just some guy showed up and shot a president. There was a whole system of events that occurred that led all those different pieces to that day. I don't know why I'm unpacking that one off the top of the head example, but it's just this idea that like no individual changes anything, even when we look at the narratives that we've crafted around it. And so it leaves me feeling rather hopeless. And I think this is something that I'm trying to practice, and admittedly, I'm not being very effective with. And this is where my sort of June malaise has kicked in, is this feeling that like I don't feel like I have a community around me that is challenging me. I don't feel like I have a community that I can access, that we can sort of collectivize and create impact together. And I don't know how to do that. And maybe that's sort of what I've been scratching at with this show for so long. But in reflection and re-listening to all episodes, I think one of the things is that like I'm at a stage right now where I don't want to build digital communities, because the platforms that those communities are built on are owned by the enemy. It is, to me, and I'm not saying I'm right, I'm just saying that this is my perspective on things. It is not in my interest to collectivize on Instagram or on TikTok or on Substack, or on any of these platforms, because we, the people, do not own those platforms. And so at any time, the real owners can decide to either remove the platform, just look at what fucking Musk did to Twitter, or they can, push you out, or they can, whatever. There's any number of things they can do. They can deplatform you, they can silence you, they can alter the algorithms so people don't see you, or I mean, fucking the owners of Substack fund Nazis, and yet it's hailed as the best way to get freelance writing out in front of people, and offers a direct connection from writer directly to reader in a way that no other platform offers. And so it's like, where do you go in this fucking hellscape? And my answer in my heart is you go to people in real life. The thing that I'm struggling with right now is that I'm so fucking isolated where I am. And it's not that, I have good people in my life. I have good people in this city. That's not, it's just that it's like, I live in the boonies of Vancouver. No, nobody comes out to Marpole. But at the same time too, I'm not trying to get into woe is me bullshit. That's not that. I'm gonna digress from there. It's more about, I don't know where to find the people who are doing the things I want to do. There's always that idea of like, if you are in a room and you find yourself unchallenged, you're in the wrong room, right? And what I'm struggling with right now is finding A, finding any room, but B, finding rooms that are filled with people who are doing things that I wish I was doing, that who inspire me to do more, I'm finding myself so isolated from all those things. And so I guess maybe this is a little call for help in a way, in that, like, where do you find these people? Where are the poets hanging out? Where are the agitators hanging out? Where are the artists just in general? Where are the artists hanging out? Even like, where are other fucking podcasters? I know it's a running joke to be like, oh, a white guy with a podcast, but like, come on. There's got to be someone out there other than fucking Joe Rogan and that Theo Ratface, whatever his name is. Like, there's got to be other people, aren't there? Like, where are you at? Where are the podcasters? Come on, show me. Oh boy, I took my daily Seroquel just before recording, and I think it's starting to kick in. Okay, I gotta try and like just pull the ejector seat on this because I think I'm tail spinning out, and I don't want to slip into any over negatives. Because the truth of the matter is that I'm not in a state where I need to be complaining. I'm secure. I'm safe. I've been building this. Okay. I'm always hesitant to talk about my personal life on the show for a variety of reasons. Historically, there have been issues with me sharing my personal life on the show. And so I have been hesitant to share stuff, but I'm currently building a beautiful relationship with somebody who I'm really uh, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I'm fucking head over heels. I'm really happy, and I feel really lucky, and I feel really blessed. And there's this funny piece of me that feels like when I'm happy, it's harder to make art. It's harder to share things online. It's harder to post more consistently. I find it genuinely difficult to be in a healthy, happy relationship and be creating content and art and producing. And I think that's so deeply broken. But it's this thing of like, I don't have time to sit and think about that stuff in the best possible way. That's not a complaint. Like, in a sense that it's like, I don't spend as much time ruminating. I don't spend much time brooding because, like, I've got somebody to talk to who makes me really happy, and so I don't need to like send out like pleas for attention in the same way. um I've also been actively dropping my therapy sessions with Scott. I've been reducing the number of times I see him. I actually just I canceled our session this week because I just like didn't really need him. Again, in like in the most positive light, like he really encouraged me to do so. He was like, just go out and live. And so I don't know. I'm sounding nuts right now, I think, to myself. Maybe not to you. Maybe you're following my train of thought, in which case, how? But I know I recognize that I'm sort of sharing these polar opposite emotions, where I'm feeling connected to another individual, but I'm not necessarily feeling connected to a community, and I'm not trying to say that that's you know anyone's failing or anything like that. It's more about it's this idea of like I don't want this person to be my everything, and I don't want to be the everything to them. I don't. Humans as individuals are incapable of offering that level of support to each other. It's why I think monogamous, long term, singular relationships are doomed. In my experience, if it works for you, that's fucking awesome. Rock and roll. I'm not gonna say it's just in my experience these don't work because so much pressure gets put on the individual that just I can't live up to those expectations, and I never want to put those expectations on the other on my partner. And so I'm building this beautiful singular connection, but I feel unsatisfied with other elements of my life, and I don't know how to navigate that right now. um um I'm sure I've got any number of tools, they're just not coming to mind, but oh God, I'm circling the drain here, aren't I? It's just a funny paradox. It's a funny paradoxical experience of being incredibly happy with this connection, incredibly happy in this relationship, and also feeling this yearning for other types of connections that I wouldn't expect a romantic partner to satisfy. I don't expect that kind of thing, and I don't think people should expect those kinds of things from their partners. But anyway, I don't know. I'm rambling about this stuff, and I don't want to go much deeper into it. So I am going to yet again pull another ejector seat, and I'm loaded with them. This bed is full of them. So I'm pulling another, and I'm gonna try and just change the subject yet again into something else. I completely forgot to put out a call for any kind of listener questions or listener stories. I really wanted to start sharing some listener stories, inspired by other episodes and feedback and stuff like that. But I just completely forgot to remind anybody for it, so I didn't really get anything. But what I thought I might do is go back through the backlog of questions and answer a couple of long lingering ones from previous months, just to kind of have a little bit of a fun thing. Oh my God, my brain is slowing down here, but yeah. So I'll do a couple of listener questions, and then we're gonna wrap it up. I don't need to be talking and talking and talking. So let's get to it. Question number one: if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you want to be? My impulse answer is weeping willow because it's kind of the only tree that whose name is springing to mind other than like oak or pine. And I just love the name weeping willow. It really feels evocative of me as a spirit. Also, they're low-key gorgeous. I love weeping willows. Yeah, I think if I was a tree, I'd be a weeping willow. If I was a flower, I'd be a bleeding heart. Um, pretty par for the course stuff. Trees, plants. Okay, let me digress for a moment. Plants scare the shit out of me. If I'm being completely honest, I just got rid of my last plant. It had been given to me by an ex. It was completely haunted. It would not die. It was this big, like, what are they called, like spike plants, and it wouldn't die no matter what. It just like yeah, and I finally got rid of it because it scares the shit out of me. Plants in general, just in the sense that these are living entities that are so beyond our understanding of consciousness. And in the same way that, pets are essentially socially acceptable Stockholm syndrome candidates, plants, I feel like, don't deserve to be subjugated in the way that we've cultivated culturally. Um, it's such a sign of man's hubris to rip these incredible living beings out of the ground, pot them, and then use them as like display ornamentation. I just think it's a little grotesque. Um, Especially when like there are trees in this world that are older than Jesus. Like it fucks me up. There are trees alive today on Earth who were like saplings during the Roman Empire. Like it just the plant life is so beyond our comprehension, and to have the audacity to capture them and use them as decorations around our house is just, yeah, I think it's just a prime example of the hubris of man. So I got rid of that plant for a different reason. Totally my arrogance. But yeah, that was a digression. That wasn't the question. Weeping willow is my answer. There we go. Here's another one. Laundry question. What do you think happens to the solo lost sock? Is it an adventure, romance, death, black hole, invisibility cloak? What happens to the solo sock? This one I love. I love so much. I do remember having the myth completely busted for me when I saw a video years ago that was showing like this there's sort of like a second trap that they often fall into, and I found it so disappointing because I was raised in the era of the Brave Little Toaster and Homeward Bound and just Toy Story, obviously. Just I was raised in the era of anthropomorphized other things and believing that every object had a soul and a calling and a yearning. And so I always like to believe that when a sock disappears, it's because they are finally embarking on their great quest. They're like Luke Skywalker staring out at the twin suns of Tatooine, but they're a sock, and the twin suns are the rotator of the washer. And they're finally just gonna get out there, and they're no longer gonna be encasing my hairy, stinky feet. They've got a higher calling, and they're gonna go do it. And I wish them well. I say more power to you. Get out there, see the world, and have an adventure. And hopefully, they don't end up, strung up over some power lines or stuff like that. I guess that's more runners that you see. You don't really see a lot of socks thrown up on power lines, but you definitely see runners, especially one runner. Who does that? What is that? Is that like? Is there a intention behind that, or is that just like a random occurrence that I only notice because it's a weird thing to see when you see it? But are there reasons why runners get thrown on power lines? Is it about gangs? Somebody tell me. Explain to me the deal with runners on power lines. Um, my Seroquel is kicking in, and I think I need to wrap things up. Thank you all so much for listening. I'm just going to call it here. Look, I don't have things to sell. July's going to be a fun month. We're going to figure it out. It's Pride Month in Vancouver. I know this month is Pride, nationally, internationally, whatever, but next month is the extra gay month. I've been working on an essay that I'm going to be sharing on Substack about the etymology of the word fascist. It's a really, really fun history, and I'm going to be sharing it because of Pride Month. And I raised some pretty, we'll call them agitating opinions on some of the sibling words to the word fascist that we should maybe adopt in its place. I'll give you a little sneak peek. The root word is fascis or fasces. It's Latin. It's a dead language. Who cares? And it was a symbol of the Roman Empire, a bundle of rods or sticks collectively strung together. This was known as a fasces. There are three famous, well-known words that are derived from that term, being fascist, which was coined by the Italian fascists in the 1920s with Mussolini and his cronies. There is the word fajita, which is strips of meat bound together by delicious tortilla. And there's faggot, which is a bundle of sticks bound together for burning. Um, and my argument is, instead of calling them fascists, we should be calling them the true faggots. Happy Pride, everybody. Definitely, it's one of those essays that could have just been a TikTok, but I just didn't want to get canceled and banned. So I will be sharing that on the Nazi platform. The Nazi supporting platform, please, please, please. But oh my God, things are getting dark. I'm so sorry, everybody. Okay, yeah, be on the lookout for that. Sign up for the Substack. It's in the links. I need to go to bed. I love you all. Thank you so much for listening. I'm gonna catch you back here next week with a brand new interview. I've got a couple new ones in the can. I've finally kind of caught up to the backlog. I now actually have to do a call for guests. If you're listening and want to be on the show, please write to me. Let me know. Yeah, I'll be back next week, and I will catch you then. But until then, I love you, and I'll see you soon. Fun and safety, sweet peas.